Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever time in the world you are at. This is Carla from Rehan Allahwala's World of Connections, and I am here to talk to Suniya Dar. I want to remind everyone that this show is sponsored by the Institute of Peace, which is an online organization promoting peace one conversation at a time. Sunya, can you please introduce yourself?
Carla, thanks for having me here. I am Sanya Dar from Lahore, Pakistan, and I am a founder of Social and Emotional Learning Pakistan. Basically, I am a student, but if you ask about who am I, that's what simply I am looking for. I am searching. Actually, I am at the journey of my self discovery. I am exploring myself, and that's the greatest passion of my life, to discover self and to discover the meaning of life, who I am and what is the purpose of my being. So I call myself the student of life overall. Basically, I am a student of psychology if you talk in a perspective of formal education, but informally, I am a student and researcher of multiple disciplines. You can say of social sciences overall. I study philosophy, I study on religion, I study on health, nutrition, and organic holistic way of lifestyle. And my passion, my work is also related to all these explorations in general. And I am very passionate about discovering life in general. It's natural mechanisms, discovering about the self, discovering about the meaning of life. And one of my greatest passion is to discover what is suffering, what makes a human being suffer, and what is the meaning of suffering. And when a human suffer, how he or she could heal. So my work is also related to all these exploration and my conceptual framework. I am an active learner, but also I am a practitioner of many conceptual discoveries of mine in this regard. My work is based upon multiple projects too, and these projects are related to some important present issues my society, my country is facing right now. Basically, I am an applied researcher for these problems my society is facing right now at some level. My ideas and my conceptual discoveries are having the solutions at some levels, I guess. Though I am having very little resources to practice my conceptual framework, and it is also, I feel, challenging task in my cultural context. But I believe that I'll take forward my work gradually, and it will pay my society in the long run very positively, to the extent I can be able to do it, right? So let me introduce some my conceptual frameworks, my ideas, my work. I have begun at a very small scale right now, and I am practicing entrepreneurship at a very small scale. And my future plans, dreams to make a change in my life and in my society as well. So to introduce myself, it's better to introduce my passion, my work first. I have to describe, for this, I have to describe some issues my society is suffering from, and I am working for its solutions. Those issues include, first and foremost, is the deprivations and shortcomings in the education system. Right now, I feel in my society. So for this, I want to practice my concept of collaborative academic, social, and emotional learning in my country, Pakistan, in Lahore, you know. And for this purpose, I want to build a school, but right now I am practicing it at very small level. Collaborative academic, social, and emotional learning idea is actually formulated and discovered to cover up the deprivations of a traditional educational system of my society, and these deprivations, if I highlight briefly, are, one, first, fixed disciplines, fixed old, rejected criterias for human growth, human education, like system doesn't acknowledge free will to choose, to question, to think out of the box, so that in spite of having higher degrees, I feel my people seems me unable to survive and thrive in their practical lives through these degrees. Secondly, it is not based upon the way feasible naturally for every kind of learner. There are different kind of learners by modern researches, and one who is a kinesthetic learner, suppose, can't learn in a way a reader writer learner can learn. You know, so the children whose learning styles don't match with the fixed way of teaching, um, are outliers from the system. They are being bullied sometimes. They are labeled as retard or many other issues I feel these children are facing in our educational settings. So they don't fit often in the system, and they are deprived mostly from the education they required, they need, you know their self-worth damaged, their self-esteem hurt by the system many a times. So this is an issue in our education system, I feel, and I want to work upon this issue through my project of collaborative academic, social, and emotional learning. Okay, apparently our educational system is serving for, and the third issue I feel in my educational system is that apparently it is serving to raise up an individual intellectual for intellectual area only, but I feel that it is not serving right in this area too. As I described before, what are the deprivations for intellectual growth in my educational system? Secondly, by modern researches, it is proved that human being has almost 5 departments of life overall. He or she not only has intellectual department, human have human has social department of life, emotional department of life, relational, financial, spiritual department of life. So I feel that a child is required to be educated for all the aspects of life, and education should be included for all these areas too, not only for intellectual growth, in my view. So for this, I want to practice this collaborative academic, social, and emotional learning idea. And if you ask, this project include academic subject assistance in intellectual area in a way that the learning will be provided by understanding and considering the child's specific personality and his or her specific needs of learning styles they have. And with academic learning, it will include the physical activity classes like yoga, like mindfulness practices to for relaxation, and it will include teaching on emotional intelligence, on problem solving. It will include storytelling sessions with reflective conversations, and it will include spiritual learning, like helping others, empathy teaching, values teaching, and connection with the self, connection with the nature. And also I want to include some fun projects for children that will teach them to be an entrepreneur in their future, to boost up their financial aspect too. So basically I want to build up an educational setting for collaborative academic, social, and emotional learning. And this is one of my greatest passion. I want to practice. This is one for this idea. I have started working initially. I gave some physical sessions to kids, and I have made a small club for children in my home, in my own home, to give them sessions on social and emotional learning. And also, I give online sessions to kids for goal setting, time management, for personality development, and for anger management, and other aspects, I want to practice. So this is the first project on which I build up social and emotional learning Pakistan at a very small level right now. This is my first idea.
How many kids are how many kids are in the program?
I had almost 15 kids in a session. Right now, I have practiced.
And how long are your sessions? Do you have 15 kids together or do you do individual sessions?
No, I did group sessions with 15 kids.
Okay. And how often do you do these sessions?
I do this on and off. I did not do this, continuously. I did this on and off because I am very busy in my study projects. I'm studying right now. I am a psychologist to be in future, and there are other, my trainings are ongoing. So when I have opportunity, I practice these sessions on and off through social and emotional learning.
Now, where you said you're going to school, are you working on your doctorate or are you working on your master's? What
I,
are you
I
working?
am I am working on my masters. I'm doing masters in psychology.
Okay. What
Yeah.
made you decide that you wanted to study psychology?
I faced problems regarding, I have described problems in my educational setting. I have gone through these issues in my educational life. I felt and I suffered. Then I started working on my personality informally, what issues I have faced. I started working on it, those issues regarding me. Then I connect to, for researching on my issues, I connect to psychology informally. I did some courses. Then I was interested more deeply studying. Then I started my masters. I started my PGD in psychology. Then I started my masters to be a psychologist. Basically, I'm doing degree to be psychologist, but I don't want to practice traditional psychology. I want to practice holistic healing therapies. I am interested more in holistic healing therapies. So
What do you mean by holistic therapy?
Holistic healing therapies means that um, we have resources in ourself, for healing. When we suffer, we have resources in ourselves for healing, so we can charge those resources, we can use those resources to heal. For emotional healing, I like humanistic therapies, I like psychodynamic and other therapies that work on self, actually, to heal the self, to heal inner wounds.
Okay. Earlier, you were telling me that you like mindfulness techniques.
Yeah. I am a certified mindfulness therapist. I did mindfulness training, 8 weeks training. I participated in that training, and now I am practicing. This is my second project I am going to describe, through social and emotional learning. I am practicing right now. This is my second project, mindfulness. I am a trained mindfulness therapist, and I teach mindfulness to my students, to women, especially through social and emotional learning. And for this, I have designed a project in which I teach mindfulness. I teach meditation exercises in Urdu to my students, and I also give them sessions for healing, for depression, for other issues they are facing, and I try to assist them.
Now, do you work with children mainly, or do you work with all ages?
Sorry, I do not understand what you have said.
I'm glad you said that. Do you work mainly with children, or do you work with adults too?
I am working with women too. I'm not only working with children, I'm working with
Great.
women and girls and students, students of psychology and women, especially housewives. I work with housewives. I teach them mindfulness for relaxation, stress dealing for
I
those
can
purposes.
see, oh, I'm sorry. I can see that being very, very useful for the women, for women
Yeah,
and women in Pakistan who don't necessarily go out and
yeah.
do things. How are the women? How are the women taking it? Do they like it?
Yeah, most of them like it, and many women in my society, in my cultural context, there is an issue with women that they do not practice, persistently. This is an issue that they do not practice persistently sometimes, and they confess this, that when we practice, we find its benefits, but when we leave practice, we again suffer from some kinds of issues.
What are the reasons for not practicing?
In my cultural context, I support and assist women to live at their authentic selves through healing. In my society, at majority basis, women is suffering either by the wounds of suppression or by the wounds of, unauthentic reactions. She's suffering by extreme kinds of lifestyles at majority basis, not exceptions are there, but at majority basis. And the reason is, in my view, what you are asking, the reason is she is trained to be obsequious. She is trained to be a people pleaser kind of model. And in this one, she lacks connection with her own self. Who she is authentically. She is trained to live at unconscious, unhealthy patterns without questioning, without arguing. Even she can't say for her basic needs and rights many a times in our, domestic settings. And as a result, she used to dumb herself down. She used to hide herself. She used to live her parents' life, her children's life. She used to live other people's life. She lives at other people's expectations mostly, and she never lives her own life, at who she is herself authentically. She is disconnected from this phenomena. So it's very hard for women to practice it. First, realization is important that she needs to practice her authentic self. And the most pathetic situation happens to her when she remains unconscious at her fixed patterns, criterias, and through this kind of unconscious living, she plays unauthentic roles mostly by not being aware of choosing dogmatically what she needs to do to live a healthy life. So she experiences an imbalance between her needs of life related to her departments of life. So she suffers physically, intellectually, many a times. She suffers emotionally, spiritually, many a times. She becomes down. She is not able to make healthy connections with her own self, with uh, her relationships many a times. So overall, I think this kind of lifestyle is a hurdle for a woman to practice, you know, these
I
forms.
agree. I totally agree. I think this is very important, especially for women in Pakistan. How do you get them to begin to realize how important it is?
Yeah, I give them, sometimes I give them support sessions for, to deal with the challenges in their domestic, environment, what challenges they are facing right now. I try to assist them, I try to support them on those challenges, to face those challenges, and to realize, to take a stand for themselves, you know.
And what happens when they do take it stand? Does
It's
it
very
take a
hard.
while for them to learn this, or is it something that just happens quickly?
Sorry, I
Okay,
did not understand.
let me try again. Okay,
Okay, okay, thank you.
we know. Does it take a long time for the women in Pakistan to realize how important it is to
Yeah,
recognize
yeah,
themselves?
yeah. It
Why?
takes, it sometimes takes many, many sessions. Personally, I have taken sessions. Personally, I have worked on my personality through therapy. And I have taken, 60, almost 60 hours of therapy. Then I am here between people. Then I started working on myself. After this much, support, and this much time I have taken. Right now I am working right now continuously. I'm working through therapy on my some issues like anxiety, my some other kind of personality problems because of our this domestic environment, our challenges what we are facing in our settings. And I'm working on myself also right now for this. I am struggling with this right now myself too, you know this much time, and it takes a very long time, sometimes 2 to 1 year of therapy, sometimes 2 year 2 3 years, long time therapy women is needed to realize and to start work on herself.
How long have you been doing it, Sonia?
I'm doing it from last almost 7 months. For personal therapy, I'm talking regarding personal therapy, that I'm taking personal therapy from last 7 months, because I was facing issues in, my work life too, because of my personality issues, this kind of. So I decided to take therapy for my personal issues too. And then, along with this, I support other women too, through my projects, through my working, how much I can do.
What made you interested in doing this? It's so, I really think it's very important for women in general, but from what I have been learning about women in Pakistan, it's even more important. Were
Yeah.
you going through some things? I don't want you to go into detail at all, but were you going through some things that said, hey, I need help and I want to help other women? What made you decide to do this? Do you
Uh,
understand the question?
Sorry. Please repeat again. I did not got. I did not get
Okay,
what you.
let's try it again. We knew this may happen, so we're prepared. What
Yeah.
made you decide that you wanted to help women get over the feeling I cannot do it and feel comfortable with themselves?
Yeah. Actually, I think I feel it very deeply for other women too. I have gone through some issues, and when I worked on those issues, and I transformed my life. I practically, my life has been transformed very miraculously. On working. By this perspective. So so it creates a passion in me, that this can change my society. My society is wounded overall. I call it wounded society, because woman is wounded, and generations, through, when women is wounded, then her generations also suffer. The whole society is suffering. So I want to make change in my society too, as I changed my life, and I am changing still now. I want that I transform this healing from myself to my society. This is my passion. This is my one of my purpose of my life, that I want to transform this healing in my society too.
I think it's very, very important. Um,
Yeah.
you may or may not want to answer this question, but I'm going to ask it, and if you don't want to answer it, it is fine. Do you feel that it was difficult for you to tell your husband no at times, or I don't want to do it, instead of saying, okay, I'll do it because you told me to do it?
Yeah,
Well,
I actually, my husband is very supporting. He does not force me for anything.
good.
He allows me to. He supports me to practice my authentic self. He
Good.
does not. I don't feel he's a very bright and very supportive person, I find in my life. And with his support, I worked on my, personality issues too. He's
Great.
supporting me for therapy, overall.
I am really glad to hear that because I have
Yeah,
heard of men in Pakistan not being
yeah,
supported.
yeah,
And you have 6 kids. So
yeah,
you're studying, you're taking care of the house, you're taking care of the kids, you have a pretty big load of work that you do. How do you find time to do everything?
yeah. I think healing does a great job in my parenting too. When I started healing, my children also, I realized their free will. I realized their, many things in parenting, in prevailed parenting that makes it hard for us, for women, to practice their authentic selves, to live at their own, you know. So when I started healing, I left the prevailed criterias, prevailed patterns regarding parenting that were in my society, that were practicing by my, you know, forefathers, you can say. Uh, I refused to practice those criterias. So I polish my free will of my children. I want to make them independent. They are not more dependent on me. You know, they can do their work by their own. They can study with some assistance of me, but overall they are independent human beings. They practice independently what they want to, in their education, in their personal life, in their choices. So I encourage them for this. I support them, and they support me for my, practicing my authentic self to me.
And that's important. And I'm glad to hear that your husband also supported you through this.
Yeah, yeah, he's very supporting right now.
Was he always very supportive?
Yeah, sorry.
Did he always support you like he does now?
There were some issues initially, after our marriage, but we have grown together, you can say. We have grown together. We both.
How are the kids feeling? How old are your kids again? The oldest is how old?
My eldest kid is 14 years old almost, and then my daughter is 11-year-old. My third one boy is a 9-year-old, and my fourth one girl is 6 year old. Then my boy 5-year old, and then the youngest one is 4 year old.
Wow, that's a lot of work.
Yeah,
How do
it's
you,
hard. It's hard. Okay, it's hard right now
right?
also, but um, it's easy. It's uh, comfortable for me right now. It's comfortable for me right now as I worked on my own self, my own wounds and my own healing, you know.
That's amazing. I am really impressed
Thanks a lot. Thanks for acknowledging.
because you've been doing, I mean, what you're doing is very difficult. Did
Yeah.
you have a love marriage or was it an arranged marriage?
No, I have arranged my marriage is arranged marriage, but I dogmatically choose this, proposal for me.
So you did choose it or you did not choose it?
Yeah, I choose it, but proposal was, when proposal for this marriage came to my house, then I choose it by my own will. My parents, did not force me to marry the man who is my husband. I choose him by my own, you know, will.
Yeah, I'm happy to hear that. To me, that's very important.
Yeah.
Are there any other words of wisdom that you would like to just give to our audience?
Yeah, I want to say that it's very important to, support women right now. What kind of,
Absolutely.
if we want to grow our society, women is the most important part. If you
Yeah.
support the woman, you support the whole society. So I will say that we should start conscious living, and we should now reject, the unconscious, negative patterns, negative, lifestyles we used to live in the past. Now we should, our society needs overall conscious living of individuals, of men, of women too, of both. We need to evaluate for our lives, and we need to choose. We need to learn how to choose dogmatically for us. I feel this is very much important for the growth of my society, for the kind of issues my society is facing right now. So, for this in future, I will be introducing coaching sessions, coaching group therapy. I want to practice for housewives, for women especially. I want to practice, for making them, you know healthy human beings, healed. I feel that my society needs this right now, very, at majority basis. There are exceptions. I have observed, I experienced people, there are exceptions, but at majority basis, this is a very core issue my society is facing. My work with women is to support them for their healing, for conscious living, by helping them regarding the issues they are facing, in their departments of life regarding their needs. I teach them regarding their emotional health, their well being overall through, mindfulness, holistic healing, therapies. I learn for myself, and I teach them, these life skills. And for this, I have planned coaching in the future, when my education will be completed, and especially when will completely, I will be completely, satisfied regarding my own healing, my own self. I want to transform my own self first, you know, then I want to work with other women too, to transform this healing overall.
Very nice. Thank you for your time. I know it's very late there, so I don't want to keep you much longer, but I want to thank you for speaking with me. How do you feel now?
It's very much now, very much relaxing. It's good.
I
It's
was so
really good.
nervous about your nervousness.
Yeah, in our cultural context, we used to hide ourselves. We used to dumb ourselves down, and it's hard to express, ourselves for us. And I'm really thankful to you for giving me this opportunity to express some ideas, some, my discoveries, my journey, and it's really
Your
very good experience. It's really good.
journey is very important. And I want to ask you this question that this gentleman is asking because I think you'll have a good answer. Let me read it to you. I have a question. Please, humans are equal once they're privileged to have basic education. Can you explain why it is important to support women? I think you could answer this so beautifully, and I would like you to
Yeah,
answer.
yeah. I don't think that only to support women is important. I think to support men is equally important for my society. But my work is related to women right now. I am right now. I'm not working with men, but I want that this work should be done with men too, because they are too, trained to be obsequious. They are too living unconscious living, they are too living at unconscious patterns, you know so I don't think that it's only important for women. I think it's equally important for men too. But right now my projects are with women with housewife only, so I talked in that perspective. I want, I wish that it should be done for men too. And and then women is, raise up man also. She's a mother, she has to raise up, boys too. So if she is healed, she will raise up, healed generations. She will raise up, hey, she will raise up healed boys too, so uh, it's very important to support women in this perspective too, because she is the teacher, she's mother, she raise up a boy. So
Okay,
it's important. It's important that I think women, uh, very very important part of society for this purpose too. So it's equally important for both, in my perspective, I think.
I
But
agree wholeheartedly. I also want to read this man's comment. It's very interesting to hear men say these things.
yeah,
Abbas Khangar Akbar, I think I know him. By women, she means as women are mothers and mothers build nations when they build up the child.
yeah,
And
exactly.
I totally agree. Women bring up the children, women develop children. What would you like to say, Sunya?
Sorry, what did you ask?
Would you like to say anything to that comment?
I think it's one perspective, but I also think that man too participate, in child rearing, man too participate.
Yeah.
But so it's equally important for both. Mother and father both plays role in the, in the brought up of children. So it's equally important for both, for man and women. But right now, actually, I am working with women, so I talked upon my projects actually. But it's very much important for men too, as it's important for women, equally important for both.
And I believe with you that men should be involved with teaching their children. It
Yeah,
should be just, hey, the woman will do it.
yeah,
But boys need their fathers too.
yeah.
And so do daughters.
Yeah, we have to break, we have to break this stereotype of fixed gender roles also in our society. It's a part of healing. It's a part of healing that we should realize we need to change this pattern, this fixed criteria, these fixed gender roles for men and women in our society, prevailed in our society. So we need to challenge those patterns too. We need to, you know, both of them should participate in every kind of, raising up child in homemaking, what they can do mutually, with mutual understanding. So it's important that man and women should you know, take this responsibility equally for
I,
child growth, for every other, kind of roles.
I agree wholeheartedly about that. We don't need to go into my feelings right now, but I want to really thank you, Sunya. You were extremely informative, and it appears you've become a very, very strong woman. And I congratulate
Thank you.
you on that.
Thank you so much, Carla, for acknowledging, for giving me this opportunity to bring myself out, you know. Thank you so much.
I wasn't sure we were going to do it for a little while.
Yeah, and that was my first experience. I annoyed you a lot,
Oh,
but
no,
it
no,
it
no.
it's overall a good experience for me. It's
You did.
very it it
You,
will play a part. It will play a positive part in my growth. You know, so
Sonia,
I
you did not
um,
annoy me. I just was worried that you wouldn't be able to speak like you did. And you spoke beautifully. And I wanted to say that. I wanted to acknowledge that while we were on air. I didn't want to say that off air. I wanted people to hear that you are an extremely strong woman and you have a lot to offer. And don't you ever stop. You need to continue.
yeah.
And Abbas, Abbas, I like that you said, please keep, please keep up the great work, Sunya Dar Sahiba.
Yeah, yeah, inshallah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for giving me, hope to continue my work.
Okay,
For
with that, I'd like to close the live stream. I want to really thank you, Sunya. You did
oh,
extremely well.
oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Carla. It's
And
really good.
I am really glad we did this today. I was really nervous about it, but you did very, very well. And
Thank you
with
so
let me remind everyone, I want to thank you for talking to me. I
much.
want to
Okay.
thank our viewers because I think we had quite a bit. We'll find out in a few seconds. And
Okay.
we're going to say good night now and laugh ourselves out. And you can laugh with me.